Thank you so much for joining, Helen. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
being here.
much.
It's a pleasure to have you. So let's jump right in. We're talking about helping our entrepreneurs with strategies to achieve success. How do you define success?
I thanks, Michelle. I love that you said in that introduction that you get to define success the way that you define it. And I think that is so integral because we often as entrepreneurs get caught up in what other people are doing and what other people define as success, and we see that in the marketing spiels of many of the gurus out there, that you aim for a 7-figure business, aim for a 6-figure launch, now I'm an 8-figure business. There's a lot of talk around the revenue driving the success and defining the success, whereas I tend to feel that success is more, for me anyway, about quality of life. So if
Mhm.
you are a 7 or 8-figure business, you're also a manager to a team. You're running a lot of, you have a lot of balls in the air that you wouldn't necessarily if you were a smaller revenued business. And so for me, success is about defining a quality of life. Do I have enough? Am I making enough revenue to make my needs and be generous and still have the flexibility to be here in my home? My partner and I run a permaculture education center together. Do I have the room in the summertime to be here during harvest season while our students are coming through? Those are the factors that I use to define my own success. So I think about quality of life, space, and margin to be in my life and not just managing and juggling balls.
Oh, that's just amazing, Helen. You know, when you said to meet your needs and be generous, that hits home for me because so many times as entrepreneurs, we're thinking about what we can do to get and not thinking about what we can do to give back, you know.
Mm.
And so if we have that in the back of our minds, then we're constantly thinking about others. So your talent and your skill that you have and you're driven by it, it's really so that you can also give back, and that's quality of life. And I it's amazing that so many of our entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, everybody's along the same line. You know, success is really how you define it, and everybody has something else. Another entrepreneur said to me, it's if I can take a nap today, or you know, if it's I'm able to walk my dog. So in everything that you're doing, all the plans that you're making for your day, it's those little things that make you feel like you can breathe today, you had a great day. So thank you for that, Helen. So you are a brand voice strategist. People hear that and they're like, okay, are you helping me to change the tone of my voice? Are you helping, you know? So how do you define brand voice strategy?
Thanks. Yeah, so brand voice, let's scale that back. So there's brand voice strategy, and you're very well familiar with that strategy piece, but let's bring it back even further to what is your brand voice. And I like to think about that, your brand voice, as having two equal parts. The first part is your brand. Who are you? What are your values? What do you believe in? What's important to you and your company? Because if you're a solopreneur or a sole proprietor, then often your business is an extension of you. If you have a team, then that business is an extension of you, and it also is affected by these other voices. But no matter how big you grow your business, you will still be the visionary behind your brand. So, your brand, what's important to you, and how do you communicate that yourself with your voice? So, that's one aspect. That's your brand. And then also, the other aspect to brand voice strategy is resonance. Who are your people? What language do they use? What needs do they have? And together, once you know those your people and yourself together, that creates your brand voice, communicating who you are and what you do to your right people. The strategy involved is it's a little bit it's a little bit higher level thought process, but it's a lot intimate vulnerable work, because you're diving in and you're looking at your deeper motivations and what really drives you. And once you can become authentic and true to that, then that acts as a touchstone or a talisman to guide you forward in that brand voice strategy. So who am I? What do I believe in? Who am I working with? What are their needs? How do they communicate? These are the questions that we ask ourselves when we're working with brand voice strategy.
Oh, that it just I'm just seeing three, three bubbles that kind of intertwine as you talk about it. It's who you are, and everything so far, Helen, is coming back, and entrepreneurs, to who you are. You
Yeah.
can't leave out who you are, because that is what is now going to help you, as Helen said. So you're choosing the words that you say, and then you're now thinking, is my audience, is this how they're communicating? Are these their needs? And you're putting that together to see how it is that you can have that deeper connection with them. So it's absolutely great that, Helen, even in an interview I did with someone who is she's brand stylist. She's a stylist. And even for her, she said the first thing she does is find out who the person is, who are they on the inside, because that drives every that drives where you go. So don't forget who you are. We're not trying to be like everybody else. You're not trying to look or sound like everybody else. You're trying to be your authentic self, and then bring your authentic self to your business. So guys, make sure you're taking notes and don't lose that. And so, Helen, how does the voice of your brand impact the success of your business?
Well, I think you really touched on it when you were speaking just now about how when you come back to yourself, where you're not trying to be like anybody else. We're still new to communicating on the internet as a species. We're
Yeah,
still communicating on the internet. But one thing that we're learning very quickly is what feels genuine, what feels authentic, and what feels templated or false. We're beginning to feel out what feels true to us. And so similarly, if you're projecting your genuine self to your right people will get it. They'll know it. And that will help. I like to say that helps drive the sales conversation right from the get-go, no matter where they land. If they land on your social, if they land on your about page, if they see you on a summit like this, then, and you're being your genuine self, they're going to connect with who you are in a really clear way, so that when you do finally get on that consultation, you're not talking about whether you're a good fit or not, because they already know that and you already know that. You're talking about how and when you're going to work together. So in terms of how brand voice strategy drives the success of your business, what we're talking about is creating a sales conversation, a natural sales conversation right from the get-go, because you are aligned with who you are inside your brand. You're using a language that resonates with your right audience, and therefore your not right fit audience self-qualifies elsewhere, which is also a really good thing. Nobody wastes their time, and your right people come through, and it makes it so much easier. So you don't have to turn the sales button on at
yeah,
all, because it's all there. So when you can do that, your success naturally sort of happens. I mean, obviously you need to show up. You need to be ticking your boxes, like doing your marketing, putting yourself out there. But as that happens, as you show up in your authentic self, so then the success of your business, it has a stabler foundation to grow.
yeah. And it's interesting that you said that, because I've seen entrepreneurs, especially in last year, just kind of skyrocket to success. And one of the things for them is, during this time, they just decided that, what, I have no choice but to be me. I'm just going to show up as me. I particularly saw someone, an influencer online, and his way of marketing is completely different to what we've been taught in school or taught. You don't use all caps when you're posting, some colors you don't use, etc. He went to the complete opposite, and he was able to launch his course and just be so successful in just about 6 months. And that's because there are so many people who are just longing for authenticity and persons to just to be, And as Helen said, guys, if you are able to continuously be yourself on all the platforms, whichever one you choose to use, then when your persons connect with you, they already know who you are. They already know what you're about, what mission you're on. And so the conversation doesn't seem like, okay, this is now a sales conversation. I'm going to have to pitch to them. But it's continuing the conversation to how you can serve them. So absolutely love that, guys. And I hope you're taking note, because one of the things that you don't want to do is to be somebody different. And then they're like, oh, this is not the person I expected you to be. So we want to really make sure that we're paying that some attention. So what steps do you encourage entrepreneurs to take? I know we probably would have touched on it, so I don't know if there's anything else, because you spoke about finding out who you are, what your audience is seeing, what it is that they're looking for, and then developing a strategy to serve them. But is there anything else that an entrepreneur would need to do when they're trying to get their voice out there?
Sure. Yes. So I'd like to say that, is there a way to grow your business? Like you were talking about launching your business very drastically. Is there a way to do that without being yourself? Absolutely. But what we're talking about being purpose-driven entrepreneurs is that we are growing our businesses in a way that is right for ourselves, knowing that when you create a stable foundation, you can build multiple levels on top of that. If you build a shaky foundation and just started stacking, that is when you have a structure that is not stable. So yes, you can absolutely grow your business without a strong brand voice strategy. But if you want to grow a business that is stable and has that stable foundation for growth, then this is like basement level stuff that we're talking about. And that's why it's so, so important. So that's just about like the importance of brand voice strategy. The other thing that you can do beyond like, what do I believe in? Who am I? Who are my people? I mean, dive deep into that for sure. This isn't just a light question, but really explore, take some time to free write about what you believe in. What are your deeper motivations? Why do you do this work? Why is it important? And really find those words there. And then also, who are my people? If when you have a really clear picture of your ideal audience member, that one person, everything you write can be a love letter to them. And
Mm,
the reason they call it a target audience is so that you have somewhere to aim. So when you're aiming at that one place, that one person, you're sending this love letter out to this person every single time, then those people who are close by, they also resonate with it. They think, oh, that love letter feels like it's for me. And so that's the importance of being really, really clear on who your audience is. And the third thing I would say is that when you are doing this work, a really great way to keep that talisman, to keep that touchstone, is to write a manifesto. And that's the fire in your engine. That is the you let loose. That is all of your amazingness, your badassery, your everything poured into one document. And whether you share that or not with the public is entirely up to you. But when you keep that, then you've got that fire that's in you. So when you're having an off day, you go back to that document. This is why I do this work. When you're feeling like, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, then you go back to that document and you're like, oh, this is what I want to talk about, because this is the fuel in my engine. It is the fire in my soul. This is the reason why. So that would be the third thing. So, know who you are, know who your real person is. And if you're brand new, then use your imagination. Use your imagination wisely, though. Don't set yourself way too far apart. We're talking about small steps, one step. One step will get you there as long as you keep doing that one step. And then that third piece is write a manifesto. Come back home to yourself. Use that fire to launch yourself forward.
love it, love it. I'm getting so many gems. One that stick out for me is write a love letter to your audience. Can you imagine if every time we sit down to write a copy or an email, as there are different persons on at different stages. So if you're wondering what we call in copy, your email or what you're posting, And every time you think about that, you're thinking, oh, I'm writing a love letter to my audience. Hey guys, how was your weekend? Mine was so and so. In order to push through, I had to, and then you just become real, and they're like, oh, she's a normal person. Just like me. She's trying to figure it out just like me. So I am taking that one. I'm taking that one. Write a love letter to me. Every time I sit down to think about writing my copy, I'm writing a love letter to my audience, because I want them to succeed, and I want them to, drive towards the passion that they have inside and really go out and achieve these goals. So love that. And one of the things that also, when you were talking before about your audience, whether or not they stay or they go, I had this thought the other day, but I just didn't get to write it down, that, when I look on the persons who have unsubscribed, I used to feel bad, but no, I don't anymore, because it means that I am cleaning my audience. And I'm just using that word, that the persons who I came to serve, or I didn't come to serve, they're realizing that, okay, so now I am cleaning. So, so, as we go into even the next question, and we talk about, is there any test that persons can use to check their brand, as an entrepreneur, to test the strength of their brand? That's one of the things for me. I look at my unsubscribe list. It could be two things. It could be that I'm not serving my current audience the way that they need to be served. So I get to test that as well. Or it could be that, okay, I'm just not the person for them. But is there anything that entrepreneurs can do to test the strength of their brand when it comes on to how they're communicating with them?
Sure, absolutely. And I love that you were looking at your unsubscribes and seeing it as a gift. And, I think, as entrepreneurs, a lot of us are high achievers with really exceptionally high standards for ourselves. And that includes our drivers for success. And one of those drivers is how many people are on our list, how many people are subscribing versus how many people are unsubscribing. And it can feel hard to see those unsubscribe numbers. It can feel hard. One of the things that I do is I try not to look at my unsubscribes too much, because I know, just as you said, that they're opting out for their reasons. And as long as I am doing me in my way, then my right people will resonate with that. So yes, looking at your unsubscribes and seeing that as a gift for your business, that's really, really great. But otherwise, I mean, there's lots of data points that you can use. I am not a data heavy entrepreneur, but I have a number of friends who would say to this, look at your data, look at your insights, look at how people are engaging with your posts. So the data is out there. If you are a data-minded person, you can go and find it, look at your Google Analytics, look at your insights on Instagram and Facebook, etc. One thing that I noticed, though, is that when I really hit the mark, then I get emails back. So I get emails from my newsletters that say, this was perfect. Thank you very much. That was exactly what I needed to hear, or I love this, that sort of thing. I see it on my Instagram in terms of engagement, where conversations happen. I can see it in my Facebook group as well, where when something really lands, people really engage with it. But I also receive emails that say, I was just on your website and I loved it. So things that are not just prompted by me putting stuff out there, but unprompted. And that's when I can see that I'm aligned with my voice and my work, is when there's where I can see the ripple effect of the things that I said.
Yeah. And what I'm also getting from what you're sharing is that it really comes back to who you are, because who you are, you're looking for that connection and how it is that you're making an impact, and as Helen shared, guys, you think about who you are. What is it that you're checking? Is interaction. Does interaction mean something to you when you're looking at your data? Hits on your website, conversion rate. Think about who you are so you can test it your way. And in testing it your way, it is what works for you. At the end, it's really what works for you, and what is going to make you feel that you're making that impact as you're driving on your purpose and as you're heading towards success, because it's different for a lot of persons and you really want to truly connect with that. But one thing for sure is that the information is there. and there is access, and there is data that you can use. So whether it is you're checking your emails you're getting, somebody is just saying to you, and know that you're sharing that, Helen, I'm no longer going to take for granted where persons would take the time to send me a DM on Instagram. I love that. Sometimes we're looking for more, but dive in and appreciate that and respond with grace and gratitude that this person took the time, because so many of us were watching videos on mute. You just look on things and scroll through, but the fact that they decided to send a message, it means that it connects with them a certain way. So that is something that we really want to pay attention to. So
Absolutely.
I'm asking all my entrepreneurs this question. Um, as an entrepreneur, what is the most important question that one should ask themselves?
This is such a good one. And I think that it depends on the day. And we've touched on this all throughout our conversation here, that, we talked about, what does success mean to me? That's a huge piece, because, we were just talking about impact here. And a thought that came across my mind was something that, if you had 200 people say yes to your next program, do you have the capacity to bring that in? If you have 2,000 people who say yes to your next program, do you have the capacity for that? So somebody else's markers of success are not necessarily your markers of success. And again, if you have 2,000 people who say yes to this next program, then what does the rest of your life look like? And is that something that you do really want to take on? Are you ready for that? Or are you really just now looking for one or two to say, you are the answer for all of my questions right now, and I want to choose you? So just in terms of noticing where that definition of success is for us and what we really truly want for our business. And so this leads me back to, like, the question that I would say is the most important is this aligned? Is this aligned with who I am? Is this aligned with who I work with? And is this aligned for my further goals? Because it's not necessarily what we're told that we should want, that we do want. And so come back to yourself, come home to yourself. Is this aligned for me? Is this aligned for my people? Is this aligned for my goals? And if you get a yes, yes, and a yes, then go for it. And if you have any no's in there, that gives you an opportunity to tweak your strategy, to tweak your business model, so that it works better for you and for your people, both.
I love this. It's really, is it aligned? As you share about, you may be going after clients. If you get 2,000 clients, and when Helen was sharing, I started thinking about it. Do you have the capacity? So at the end of the day, you may have been told, okay, you need to have X number of clients, and that's what you're pushing for. But what happened to the rest of your life? I get to think about my husband and my child. If I have gained this massive number of clients that may help me towards a financial goal, then what happens to the rest of the people in my life who are fueling me and giving me the support and just being there? So is it aligned? And it goes back to your why. And one of the activities that my husband and I did this year in January, we created our goals for the year, because I wanted to ensure that any goal I set for my business, it's surrounded by my family, because you don't want to drown that out ever, and think about who you are. So it's a fitting way to end the interview, Ellen. And I love this part. It really resonates a lot. Be real, guys, be real. What does the rest of your life look like if you hit those goals that you set? And do you have the capacity?
Mm-hmm.
And is it aligned? So I really hope you were as blessed as I was to tune into this interview with Helen. And she is also, we said it before that she's a brand voice strategist. I'm going to give her some time to just talk to us about what she does, how you can access her. And if she's offering you anything today, I will drop her link to her website right below the video, so you can go ahead and check her. But we're just going to ask Helen to just talk to us a little bit about what she does.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for having me here. If you want to hear more about what I do, you can find me at helentremethek.com. You can find me on Instagram at Helen Tremethek, on Facebook at Helen Tremethek. You just have to learn how to spell Tremethek, and then you're there. I also have a free Facebook group called Love and Badassery, which is my methodology for really everything that I do. As entrepreneurs, we swing like a pendulum where we have so much care and quality and love, but also people pleasing and leaky boundaries, to we swing the pendulum the other way where we have so many F-bombs and I don't cares, but also gritty client relationships. And love and badassery, we need both. We need who you are and that quirkiness and maybe the F-bombs and also all of that care and quality. So love and badassery together, you can find a balance. And so the gift I have for you today is, last year I asked 30 other entrepreneurs, and including myself, that's 31 entrepreneurs, of how they grew their businesses while remaining authentic to who they are and grounded in who they are. And you can get that at loveandbadassery.com. It's 31 stories behind the scenes of how people grew their businesses while being who they are. So please go ahead and grab that. And if you have any questions at all, you can find me. I'm around at Helen Tremethek.
Ah, thank you. Thank you so much, Helen. So go ahead, guys, and click. I'm going to be clicking right after this interview. I need to read that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Learn your brand voice strategy. Be loving and be that badass entrepreneur that you need to be in order to drive towards your goals. So thank you so much, guys. And thank you, Helen, for coming on.
Thanks, Michelle.